The Kansas City Chiefs, the Indianapolis Colts, Chiefs, the two top passers in the NFL today, Patrick Mahomes and Andrew Luck. The question to me is, who is better? It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View here to answer that exact question. If you're new to the Bottom Line View and this series, we take a look at every position and evaluate both teams' talent. Then I come to a decision by tallying the score. This is not a prediction of who will win the game. This is purely judging the talent on both teams. Before I dive into the depth charts, subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this. And Gronk spike the like button. Also, let me know in the comments below, who do you think is the better team? The Colts or the Chiefs? Will the Cinderella story of the Colts continue, or will the MVP Mahomes tear apart the Colts and move on to the AFC Championship? Let's kick it off with the quarterback position, Patrick Mahomes and Andrew Luck. Now, like I said, the two top touchdown producers this season. Mahomes, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, only the second quarterback ever to do that. Andrew Luck, 39 touchdowns, the second most in the NFL, and he's on an absolute hot streak lately. It's a tough one. They're very close, and in my opinion, the two top quarterbacks right now in the NFL, but I have to side with the guy that I think is going to be MVP, and that is Patrick Mahomes. Now, the reason I slightly side with Patrick Mahomes is because he's just made a few more special, unique plays that I've yet to see maybe in my entire life from an NFL quarterback. Some of his throws, scrambling to the left and throwing across his body, the velocity he puts on the football, the touch he has on the football, and also those statistics are just out of this world. Yes, Andrew Luck does a great job for the Colts, and yes, he's fantastic, but I do have to side with Mahomes and just the way he's played all season long. At the running back position, I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Colts have a more consistent, well-rounded running back unit. They also have a better running game, period. You look at Marlon Mack, and since he really came back from injury, he's been amazing. 908 yards, 4.7 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns. He's also caught 17 passes. Against the Texans, he was a huge factor, and that was against a top 5 running defense. 148 yards, 6.2 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Marlon Mack has been a number 1 running back in the NFL this year behind a great offensive line. Wilkins and Hines also contribute here. Hines is a big pass catcher for the Colts with 63 catches this season. Wilkins also averages 5.6 yards per carry and had 336 yards this year. When you look at the Chiefs, yes, they don't have bad running backs, and I think they've done a better job than expected replacing Kareem Hunt with Damian Williams and with Spencer Ware. But to me, Williams, the guy that I really think is the better of the two, doesn't really measure up to the 3 backs that the Colts have. Now, Williams has been great, don't get me wrong, and he's been really good as a pass catcher with 23 catches. But overall, I don't think it's really a huge factor to the Chiefs' offense that they really run the ball. And to me, the Colts have just stayed more balanced. They commit to the run a little bit more, and the running backs are able to show off their talents a little bit more. So overall, I'm going to go with the Colts here. I think they've been the more effective running game, and I think the Chiefs overall, they don't really use their running backs enough. So I'm going to go with the Colts. At the wide receiver position, I'm going back to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have fantastic wide receivers, and it all starts with the dangerous weapon, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is the definition of a weapon. He can score from anywhere on the football field, whether it's a slant pattern from the 10-yard line, he can take that to the house, or a deep bomb that travels 60 yards in the air, he can also take that to the house. And he is extremely dangerous. It doesn't matter against zone, man, double team, coverage. It really doesn't matter with Tyreek Hill. 1,479 yards this year, 12 touchdowns, 87 catches. Tyreek Hill is the ultimate weapon. And you complement him with hopefully a Sammy Watkins who is back, healthy. And Sammy Watkins gives another dimension to this offense with his ability to get open and his ability to run routes very effectively when he is healthy. Now, Sammy Watkins is a solid number 2. I've never called him a great number 1, but that's why you have Tyreek Hill. And when Tyreek Hill takes all this attention away from Sammy Watkins can produce with 40 catches, 519 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Chris Conley is a pretty good number 3 with 32 catches, 5 touchdowns, and 334 yards. You look at the Colts, T.Y. Hilton's amazing. I've always loved T.Y. Hilton, and I still love T.Y. Hilton. He is one of the best deep threats in the NFL. He consistently makes big plays in big games and big catches for Andrew Luck. 76 catches, 1,270 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He had 5 catches for 85 yards versus the Texans, a team he torches every year. T.Y. Hilton is amazing, but to me, he's not as good right now as Tyreek Hill, and his supporting cast isn't Sammy Watkins and Chris Conley. Inman is okay. He has improved overall from his days as a Charger. This season, 28 catches, 304 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And against the Texans was really impressive. 5 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. They also have Rodgers, who's contributed a lot, especially when T.Y. Hilton has not played. 53 receptions, 485 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 4 catches in that Texans game, and also Grant as well. These are 3 okay receivers. I would call them average at best, with 1 really good receiver, while the Chiefs have 1 elite receiver, 1 pretty dang good receiver, and 1 solid receiver. So to me, I'm going with the Chiefs wide receiver core. At tight end, the Chiefs have probably the best tight end in football right now, and that is Travis Kelce with 103 receptions, 1,336 yards, and 10 touchdowns on the season. He had a historic NFL season for a tight end, and to me, he is a huge part of this offense. I think he's a bigger part than a lot of people give credit. I think without Travis Kelce, this team isn't nearly the same offense. If he were to go down, this team would miss him more than arguably any other player not named Patrick Mahomes. Eric Ebron is great for the Colts and has really shined as a Colt since coming from the Lions in free agency. 66 catches, 750 yards, and 13 touchdowns. He's been a red zone weapon for Andrew Luck and had a touchdown against those Texans last week. But overall, the damage that Kelce can do from between 20 to 20 and then also in the red zone, his ability to catch the ball and make people miss in open space, and also his ability as a route runner is what makes him the best tight end in football. So overall, the best tight end in football, Travis Kelce, is the better tight end than Eric Ebron. The offensive line, Indianapolis Colts has to win this. I think they might have the best offensive line in football. I've been saying for weeks it's at least top 5. It's at least top 5. I think it might be the best. You look at the Colts offensive line, Costanzo at left tackle, Smith at right tackle. Costanzo was fantastic before they even had a good offensive line, and now he's even better. Kelly at center has been a force in the run game, ranking 10th by Pro Football Focus. Nelson is probably already the best guard in football. He just manhandles people. Glowinski is also in the top 10 by Pro Football Focus at the guard position. And Smith has been a standout rookie. They never really get Andrew Luck touched at all. And their run game is unbelievable sometimes because this line can just completely dominate an opposing defensive line and create huge holes for their running game. So I'm going with the Colts. I do really respect what the Chiefs have done along the offensive line, and I think they're a tad bit underrated, specifically Mitchell Schwartz, who I think is probably the best right tackle in the game. But overall, the Colts are probably the best line in the game. So I'm going with the Colts. The interior defensive line, I'm heading back to Kansas City with the Chiefs. It's Jones, man. He is unbelievable, Chris Jones. So I'm going with Chris Jones, Nandi, Bailey, Xavier Williams. These guys are pretty solid. Jones especially is incredible. His ability to rush the passer from an interior position is unlike anybody not named Aaron Donald right now. He put up numbers this year, and if they're going to win this game, the Chiefs, they need him to get a few big plays against Andrew Luck in the passing game on third down, and I don't count him out, even against this great offensive line. He's fantastic. He's a one-man wrecking crew on a pretty poor defense. The other guys, they're okay. They're not specifically pass rushers, but they're decent against the run. Allen Bailey has been a solid player for a long time. Xavier Williams is a decent player, but they don't have anybody really behind him that scares you as an opposing offense. When you look at the Colts, Marcus Hunt is really underrated, and since coming from the Bengals, where he's really a special teams player, he's transformed into one of the more tougher to handle interior players because of his height and his reach and his ability to get around interior linemen because of that advantage. Autry is pretty good and another underrated interior player for the Colts, and both players are good against the run. I would say Hunt is a better pass rusher. Ridgeway and Stewart are solid depth players, but they don't measure up to what Jones can do with the Chiefs, and I think the depth is relatively the same. So I'm going with Kansas City in this category. When you look at the edge position, it's all about D Ford and Justin Houston. These two players both rank in the top 12 for Pro Football Focus. Ford 8th, Houston 12th. Houston used to be maybe the best pass rusher in football. He's slowed down a little bit, but he's still extremely tough to stop coming from that edge for Kansas City. D Ford has taken a huge step up this season, and in a number of games when the Chiefs have really needed him, has made huge plays, strip sacks, pressures, just in general, getting in the face of the quarterback. The Chiefs, that combination, are extremely effective in both the pass game and Justin Houston specifically in the run game. I think D Ford's a little bit weaker in that regard, but Justin Houston is great at setting an edge. And that's why I give them the edge even over a Jabal Sheard, who I think's underrated and has been the best pass rusher for the Colts. Muhammad and Lewis, who are solid players as well, but they just don't measure up to Justin Houston and D Ford and their ability to get to the quarterback. At the linebacker position, let's go back to Indy with the Colts. Leonard is arguably right now the best linebacker in football in the middle of a defense. His ability to do everything that the Colts ask as a cover 2 linebacker is extremely impressive as a rookie, because Leonard, he has to travel sideline to sideline in the run game. He has to drop deep in the passing game as that cover 2 backer, and also he's asked a number of different assignments, taking on running backs one-on-one, taking on tight ends. So Leonard has been super effective with his athleticism, and he's been put in a position to shine, and he has the stats to back it up. Walker is a pretty good second backer for the Colts. He's kind of like a worse version of Leonard, and he does everything fairly well, but he's not great. Ragland and Hitchens are decent players in their past, but they haven't really shown to be great for the Chiefs. Both of them had pretty poor seasons this season for the Chiefs. Hitchens ranked 92nd by Pro Football Focus, and Ragland ranked 71st. Both players have had a tough time in the running game getting off blocks, and they're extremely poor in covering running backs and tight ends in pass coverage. They're just not very good athletic linebackers in space. They're more about downhill 3-4 traditional inside linebackers, and they haven't really been able to get that done effectively. So the Colts, I think, have a much better, much more athletic linebacking core. At the safety position, I think the Colts also win this. Even though the Chiefs have Eric Berry, he is banged up and he'll probably play, but he hasn't been like Eric Berry, all-pro Eric Berry that we know. Parker and Murray are not very effective, and we've seen what they've been able to do when Eric Berry's not there, and that's been one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. Looking on the other side, the Colts, a big reason why they've been so great against the pass recently and so great at not giving up a lot of points, in a cover 2 scheme, your safeties are counted on more than basically any other player to cover the deep part of the field, and Hooker has been the main player as a free safety. Gathers as well has been really effective, and I really like his aggressiveness and ability to hit players over the middle. Hooker is a great instinctive player back for the Colts, and Odom, Mitchell, these players also play. They're decent depth guys, but overall, it's all about the starting combination of the Colts, and I think they've been far superior in not giving up the big play than the Chiefs safeties have. So I'm going with the Colts here. The cornerbacks for the Colts, Desir is really underrated. I think he deserves a lot more credit for his ability to stick with number 1 wide receivers. For a majority of the game last game, he played a lot on DeAndre Hopkins and did a superb job in that facet. Moore also is pretty good. Wilson's decent. they have some guys that are just good in their scheme. They're not really great independent of scheme, but because we're talking about the combination of scheme and talent, you look at the Colts corners and they fit this cover 2 scheme very well. They're very smart. They don't give up the big play. They rally and tackle very well. They're good in pursuit and they're smart. So overall, the Colts corners, I just think have performed better, have had a better defense against the pass than the Chiefs. When you look at the Chiefs corners, Orlando Scandrick has regularly gotten burnt in man coverage. Steven Nelson, he's probably their best corner this season, Steven Nelson overall. And he is very competitive in the routes. He breaks up passes. He does make a couple plays here and there. But overall, he's not a shutdown corner by any means. I'm going to go with the Colts corners here. And overall, I think their secondary is a lot more talented than the Chiefs secondary. Then we head to special teams, starting off with the kicker. You can't go against Adam Vinatieri in any situation, no matter who he's facing. 23 for 27 during the regular season. Harrison Butker was 24 for 27, so he was a little bit better during the regular season, but we're talking about clutch Adam Vinatieri here. There is nobody better, so I'm heading with the 4-time Super Bowl champion, Adam Vinatieri. Special teams, I will side with the Chiefs. I just don't think the Colts have any returner or player as effective as Tyreek Hill in the return game, because you know Tyreek Hill will be back there for punts and some kick returns. It is the playoffs, and they'll count on him to make some big plays here. And they're always amongst one of the best special teams units. Head coach, I'm going with Andy Reid. I really, really love Frank Reich right now. I think he's been incredible, and I would not be surprised if he outcoaches Andy Reid in the playoffs, because we've seen it before, let's be honest. But Andy Reid this season, I think, has been just as good as Frank Reich. And I think with weeks to prepare, with a bye week, Andy Reid is superb in that facet. So I'm going to go with Andy Reid to kind of mix up a couple more plays, come up with something different and something unique for the Colts opponent this week. But overall, I think that they're very even. I'm going to side with the Chiefs, though. And that ultimately gives the decisive edge to the Chiefs, 7-6 over the Colts in who's better, who's a more talented football team. Overall, it is the Chiefs, but it's probably closer than a lot of you people expected. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think's more talented? Do you think the Chiefs are more talented? Do you think the Colts are not getting enough respect here? Let me know in the comments below. Also, who do you think's going to win? Hit that like button and subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL. It's Mitch. Peace out.